everyone, it is your very camera shy teacher on here today, Mrs. Price, and before we start our lesson in maths, I thought I would introduce you very quickly to a little someone. So this is Pablo, and if you've ever been in my class, you know that I talk about Pablo all the time, so I thought I would show you the person that's looking after me whilst we're all safely at home. And I just wanted to say a quick hello and to say that I'm missing you all lots and lots and lots, and I can't wait until we're back. But until then, I really hope you're using this time in a really nice way to spend some time with your family, to go on walks, do some cooking and do lots of learning as well. So today we're going to be looking at word problems, and we're going to look at the language used in word problems. And to do that, I'm going to have to show you on my laptop. So it's going to be a bye from me and a bye from Pablo whilst I go and get my laptop to show you a little bit more. Okay, year 3-4, so today we're going to look at understanding word problems. So you're going to look at quite a few times this week different word problems. But before we look at that, it's very important that you understand the language that is used in these word problems. Now, a few weeks ago, your year 3 and 4 teachers set you some addition work, and if you've done that, that might come in very useful with what we will be looking at this week. So sometimes when you do addition, it will say one number plus another number. But sometimes your maths will be in the form of a word problem, and you have to read that word problem and you have to decide whether you're going to add, subtract, multiply or divide. So today we're going to look at some key words to work out what makes an addition word problem. So an addition word problem might use some of these key words. So we've got altogether, both, sum, in total, together, increased by, in all, total, combined, additional, increase, and more. Now there are quite a lot of words there, and there are even more words that will indicate that a word problem is an addition word problem, but these are most of the words that you'll see in a word problem in year 3 or 4. Now you will have a sheet as well that your parents can download from the website, and loads of these keywords will also be on that sheet. So don't worry, once this has gone off the screen, there is still a piece of paper that has all of these key words in. Now, we're going to look at some word problems to see where and how these words are used in their word problems. So here I've got a word problem, and it's quite a simple one. But it's just to show you how the language is used. So we're not going to focus so much on the numbers, we'll focus a little bit more on the language that is used and how we know what to do with that. So here it says, Mrs. Brown's class has 12 girls and 14 boys. How many children in her class altogether? Now sometimes it's really easy to just pick out the numbers and just add them together. But when we're doing a word problem, we need to be sure that we've read it and we understand and we know what we have to do with that information. So it is quite important to first of all pick out the numbers. So this is what I've done. I've picked out the number 12 and the number 14. So I know that I need to do something with these numbers, but I'm going to look at the vocabulary and see specifically that I know that I have to add these together. So if we go back to my other slide, you can see here one of my words was altogether. So that shows that it's a key word that I'm probably going to be adding these numbers together. So it says here, how many children in her class altogether? And I know that altogether is a key word showing me that I've got to add these words together. So I would then take 12 and I'd take 14, I'd add them together, and I can do this how I like. I can do it mentally, I can do it in the column method, I could use some counters to help me, but I would probably do this one mentally. But when the numbers get a little bit bigger, I'll probably use the column method. We're going to have a look at another one. So the animal shelter had 28 dogs, 11 cats and 6 rabbits. How many animals in the shelter in total? So again, I'm going to go through the same process. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to circle all the different numbers in my word problem. So my first number is 28, my second number is 11, and my third number is 6. And then I'm going to underline the word or the phrase that tells me that I have to add these together. So the animal shelter had 28 dogs, 11 cats and 6 rabbits. How many animals at the shelter in total? So that in total here is asking me to add those 3 numbers together. So again, now that I've got 3 numbers, I would probably use the column method to add those together. And if you're in year 4, you're going to be working on adding 3 numbers this week, but that won't be until Wednesday. And we're going to look at our last word problem here. So at the party, the guests ate 25 chocolate cookies and 36 raisin cookies. How many cookies were eaten in all? So again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to circle my numbers. So 25 and 36. And I'm going to look for that vocabulary which tells me that I have to add these numbers together. So, at the party, the guests ate 25 chocolate cookies and 36 raisin cookies. How many cookies were eaten in all? And if you have a look, I've underlined in all, so that means altogether, total. Now, so this is the sheet that you might have got from the Willingham Primary School website. And here we've got some of the key words and phrases that mean that a word problem might mean adding. Now on this list I've added the word more, but it doesn't always mean more. So sometimes it's a little bit sneaky. So most of the time it suggests that a word problem will be addition, but sometimes more means the opposite. So we've talked a lot about the inverse this year, and we know that the inverse of adding is subtraction. So sometimes the word more is in a subtraction word problem, just to confuse you a little bit, to make sure that you know what you're reading and you understand that word problem. I'm going to give you an example where more actually means subtraction. So it says here, the green team had 14 players, which was 2 more than the red team. How many more players were on the red team? So some people might read this and go, okay, 14 players and 2 more players. So the answer has to be 16. But actually, they're saying that the green team had the most players. The green team had 14 players. And to find out how many on the red team, we'd actually have to do 14 subtract 2, which would equal 12. So most of the time, the word more will mean that your word problem means you have to add, but sometimes they might put it in a subtraction question just to check your understanding. Now, you've got a task on this sheet, and you've got a few word problems here for your independent practice. What I'd like you to do, I'd like you to look at these word problems, and I'd like you to underline the words that will tell you that we're adding in this word problem. If you'd like to complete the word problem, that would be fantastic as well, but you don't have to, because we'll be looking at these throughout the week. The first one is done for you. So this says Erin has played 86 games and Carla has played 79 games. What is the total amount of games that were played? And there I have highlighted total amount, so that asks us to amount up how many games have been played. If you don't have a printer and you haven't printed this out, you could always write down on a piece of paper those words that tell us it's an addition word problem. I've also got an extra challenge for you. Maybe you could write some of your own word problems using some of our keywords, and you could maybe use Purple Mash to email them to a friend. So that is a challenge if you would like to do that. You could also email one to your teacher if you'd want them to have a look.